Welcome to Calm You Crazy. I am Kiana Lambert, and this episode today is about fear and feelings and how that keeps you from creating the reality that you want. So, you're going to see this stop sometimes because if I record it too long, then the captions don't capture, and I like to have captions on here for those who need it. They're auto captions, so they're not always 100% correct, but you can get the gist from them. Okay, so the reason I'm talking about fear is because it will hold you back. It holds me back whenever it comes up. Doing my podcast, doing things online is vulnerable, and it brings up that fear, and I have to face it every time. And I do. I face it every time, and I deal with the comments, I deal with the DMs, but it still is very dysregulating. And so I really wanted to get to the root of that. So I sat with it and I asked it to tell me what was the problem, what was the root. And I started crying and I had all these emotions come up because I was reliving my childhood where I wasn't seen, I wasn't validated, and I wasn't loved. And it was painful. It was painful to realize that. It was painful to know that my parents didn't have that in their lives, so they couldn't teach it to me. It was painful to see that I wasn't doing that with my kids 100%, even though I tried my best. So there was a lot of grief in there, a lot of thoughts that were holding me back. And it gets stored into your body. And whenever you allow yourself to feel it, your body and your nervous system relax, your fascia lets it go, and then you can start to really move on and feel it. But not only that, you can't just feel it and then not do anything. And the reason I know that is because I've come to this realization before and it still comes up. So I have to actively rewire my brain because those neural pathways are built in there. So even though I feel it in my fascia and I release it, I still get those thoughts. So I have to console myself, tell myself I love myself. And if the thoughts start to ruminate and they start to continue to go, then I have to command myself. Because my brain and my body listen to the sound of my own voice. I am my own frequency. My voice carries my own frequency. And whenever I command myself, it changes. So you can command yourself to do a whole lot of things. You can command yourself to get over things. You can command yourself to do anything. You are the one that creates reality. So this, what I'm talking about here, comes up for me. And I can command it away and I can do those things. But if it's stuck in my fascia, I still feel it. So that's why I'm talking about it today, because it will affect the way that you create your reality if you do not feel it and rewire your brain. And this is more for people that are specifically like me, that have childhood trauma and have difficulty. A lot of people don't want to face that they have difficult parents. It's hard to face that your parents messed you up, because that is that tribal thing. If you blame your parents, then you're going to have to face that you're angry with them and they caused a lot of your suffering and they caused a lot of the decisions that you made because of the way that you were raised. But here's what happens whenever you grieve and you get angry and you let yourself have all the emotions. When you let yourself have all the emotions, it makes way for forgiveness. It makes way for love. And the physical pain and the emotional pain is very hard. It's what they call the ego death. But it's not really an ego death. It's literally you grieving. It's you grieving the things that happened to you and then making way for the love, the forgiveness, and the joy because you've actually felt it. And we come down here to feel. We come down here to experience. So if we're not facing it, then we're not playing the game appropriately and it gets stuck in our bodies. So every single time, if you feel it, let it come up, grieve it and cry. A lot of people don't want to cry because society says that's weakness. Well, that is one way the game gets you. That is one way the game makes it harder for you. telling you not to cry because it's weakness. Crying is a physiological response. Your body is perfect, made perfect. If you listen to it, if you go with it, it's absolutely perfect. Your crying releases cortisol. It releases hormones. It is supposed to. It is your emotional release. And once you do it, you feel a whole lot better because you have experienced it. You've metabolized it and you're still alive afterwards. And so your nervous system says, okay, we can do this. We have lived through it. And then you feel better. And not only do you feel better, but you feel stronger. All right, I'm going to pause it here and then restart it up because of the captions. So you might see me at a different angle. I'm just letting you know so that we can follow this along together. Okay, moving on. So the fear that I'm talking about is fear of facing yourself. It's not the same fear that you get whenever you are gonna jump into the deep end of the swimming pool and you have no idea how to swim. It's not the fear that is trying to keep you safe physically. It is the fear that is trying to keep you safe from the pain inside. Because you were fractured, you were not treated well, you were made to feel less than, you didn't feel like you could be seen, and so it made you abandon yourself and reject yourself because it hurt too much to be yourself. You weren't accepted. So you had to abandon yourself in order to live, in order to feel safe. So you did that, and your nervous system said, okay, this is how we have to do it. And you were too little to understand anything or how to emotionally regulate or be emotionally in tune or mature because you were a kid. So facing it and undoing all that is scary because that means that you are facing all the fear that you had back then whenever you weren't accepted, whenever you were made to feel small, whenever you were punished for being you, when you were punished for your ideas, when you were punished for just being yourself. This is that fear. It activates your body in the same way, but it comes up differently. Whenever you are facing fear, like you're going to jump off a very steep cliff or whatever into the water, that'll go away. Once you do it, it feels amazing. You're like, yay, I did it. And then it goes away. This one doesn't. Okay? So this is the fear that keeps you from creating the reality that you want. It keeps you from experiencing it. It keeps you from feeling it because it gets stuck in your body. And it keeps you from being the creator that you want to be. It keeps you small. And it keeps you from believing in yourself. And belief is like the fundamental baseline of how to create your reality. If you don't believe you're in control, then you're going to be creating reality with subconscious programming. So when I say that it keeps you from experiencing the reality you want and feeling it, I don't mean like you're checking boxes. I don't mean like manifesting something on paper. I mean feeling it, the joy, the thrill, the expansion, even the relief. The things that you experience when you jump off the cliff into the water is the same thing that you want to experience when you do anything. You want all of it. That's why we go do these things, so that we can feel, so that we can experience, so we can add ingredients to our recipe book of life. So the fear is inside yourself. It's quieter, it's deeper, it's intimate with you. And it's the fear, like I said, of facing yourself and facing that pain that you buried as a child. It's not your ego. It's not your lack of power. It's that pain from your childhood that had nowhere else to go. It's that pain from not being seen, not being validated, and not being loved the way that you should have been. And that's hard for people to face because that means they're going to have to face that their parents didn't do a good job. And one thing that I see consistently is that everyone treats mental illness and pain and the narrator in your voice and the critical self-criticalness as it's just like something out in the ether that just happens to you. I've never seen one parent take accountability. Not one. I've seen so many things about mental health. There's a show on Apple with Oprah Winfrey, and she follows all these people, and they talk about mental health like it's just pie in the motherfucking sky. And it's not. Your parents did it to you. Their parents did it to them, and that's why you have it. And if society and parents would own up to it and face themselves, even though it's painful, you'd have a lot more people that have wellness instead of mental health issues, okay? Because you didn't just contract it. No, your parents did it to you, period, end of story. You were born perfect, and everything that you experienced in your childhood made you the way you are. They've done studies and epigenetics and all that stuff. There is no evidence other than the nurture part that makes you the way you are. So it is hard to face. It is hard to face that your parents screwed you up, but they did. It doesn't mean they didn't love you. It doesn't mean they didn't do the best they could, but it's hard to face it because you know what? That might mean you have to face the anger. That might mean that you want to confront them. And that might mean that they kick you out of the tribe because they can't handle it. And that might mean more pain for you. Whenever I did it, more pain for me. I left the tribe because they wouldn't face it. I left it because I chose me. And I will choose me every single time. And you will too. That doesn't mean you have to walk away. My situation was particularly abusive, both sexually and physical. So that's toxic. And I walked away from it because I'm not going to deal with that. Not in my reality. That's the way that I tell my little childhood self that I'm in charge. Okay? So we're going to pause here and pick it up again. All right, we're starting up again. Now, why am I talking about all this? Because I can create reality. I do it all the time. But there's a block to the big things that I want. And the big things that I want are me. I want me. I want to feel everything that I'm doing. I've done so much in my life. Like physically, I can do anything. I flipped houses. I can read something. I can watch something and recreate it. It's part of being a trauma baby. We have big brains and we can do a lot of things, but I wasn't present for any of it. I was always an outsider watching my life from the outside looking in. And I was disconnected because from my childhood, I had to do what I had to do to survive. I pushed it down, I disconnected from it, I put on armor, I became strong, capable, hyper aware. They call it empathy, empathic. Nah, baby, your amygdala is fucking huge. And you know what your amygdala is? It's the back part of your brain. It's hyper aware because it's looking for danger. And it gets really big because it's always sensing. And it gets so big that you can sense energy because that's what comes first before the action. So yeah, you're empathic. Whenever somebody tells me they're empath, I can see everything from just that one sentence. I know your history immediately. So we become self-sufficient, put on the armor, and that armor helps us live. It also changes our reality. Like I said, it kept me on the outside, not being able to see, not being able to feel, not being able to experience, even though I did all these things. We traveled all over the place. We lived in an RV. I learned how to fix that up. I flipped an RV, a huge one, a 38-foot one. We moved to Key West. We moved all over the place. Because life was an adventure, but I wasn't there for any of it. Physically, I was. But mentally, I wasn't feeling it. Physically, I couldn't feel any of it. So what I want is to feel. What I want is to experience. And consciousness and your body are how you create reality. So even though I can physically do all these things, I couldn't feel any of it. And I want to feel it. And I want big things. I want to travel and do all those things, but I'm not going to do any of it, and I'm not going to make any of the effort until I know that I can feel it. And I want to feel it all. That's what's on the other side for me. And everybody wants to create a reality and shift reality. Why? Because they either want to experience something or they want to feel better, or they want to feel it. Everybody wants to feel it. That's what they want. Because they think that somehow changing reality on the outside is going to make them feel more. It's going to make them feel better. It's going to make them feel safe. It's going to make them feel important. But it doesn't. I know because I have already tried everything. And I always come back to this point. So, in order for me to heal it, I have to feel it. That's what they say, right? So that's the truth that you don't want to hear. Everybody wants the shortcut. But the truth is that when you finally face that fear and grieve it, nothing can stop you afterwards. When you live through the pain, nothing can stop you afterwards. Part of the reason that I was able to do so much was because I lived through all the abuse growing up. So when you live through that kind of pain, nothing really scares you. Nothing on the outside really scares you at all. But it's the pain on the inside that scared me. And some days it still scares me. So when you carry that much pain, unprocessed pain in your body, you're not fully present, and you can't be. Where does it live? In your fascia. Your fascia is what holds everything together. If you ever cut up your meat, your chicken or whatever, you can see like this sticky stuff that holds everything together. It's like a thin membrane. That's the fascia. It's the same in animals as it is in humans. So it's not pie in the sky. It is a literal part of your body. It's liquid, crystalline structure, but it can become hard. And when you hold things in your tissue, it becomes hard and you're always tense, you know? And it's part of your body and it affects your nervous system. It's in your cells. And when your fascia is tight, it creates pressure. And it doesn't feel good. And that pressure creates that rumination. That pressure creates the running thoughts and your racing mind and anxiety that comes out of nowhere. People are like, what's the cure to anxiety? Here, let's pop a pill. Yeah. Your anxiety is stored pain in your body. You rewire your mind, you face your pain, you won't have that anxiety anymore. People want to know, what's the deal? I'm going to write a book. It's 48,000 words, but I need to fix it. And it's called Power Over Anxiety. Because you can do it. These people create drugs and pills and everything because they're for-profit companies and they thrive off keeping you ill. So nobody wants to cure you whenever you can keep paying for the pills to keep you from feeling your anxiety. But everything is curable. Your body is a magnificent machine. Magnificent. It maintains balance just like nature. And everything that we put into it upsets that balance. And then it's trying to compensate all the time. But it can be cured. And it can go away. So that anxiety, that rumination, the things in your mind create a story. Yep, they create a story about how you are and about who you are. It starts to make predictions to keep you from actually moving forward. It's a narrator in your head that says, you're not good enough. Something's wrong with you. You're bad. You'll mess this up. You're sick. You're ill. And that voice isn't true. It's not intuition. It's a predictor. Your brain is trying to keep you safe by predicting pain before it happens because you were filled with so much pain when you were little. But when you believe that voice and when you think those thoughts about yourself, you stop trusting yourself. And those thoughts create chemistry that make you feel bad in your body, which keeps perpetuating that same pain to be stored in your fascia. It affects your emotions, and it affects your electromagnetic torus field and your frequency. And that's what you use to create your reality, along with your DNA. Okay? So you stop trusting yourself, and when you don't trust yourself, that creates more anxiety and you freeze. Fear is the lack of trust in your ability to handle what comes your way. Anxiety is fear. And when you freeze, you hesitate, you shrink, you delay living, you don't get out, you don't collect new experiences, and you need new experiences. Your brain needs new input to remain neuroplastic. Because if it doesn't get new input, it starts to atrophy. If you look at everything in your body, things stop working after a while. You can do drugs and they stop working after a while. You can do dopamine. If you're really happy, dopamine stops working after a while because your brain wants you to continue to look for new things. If you are doing things to produce dopamine, they stop working after a while. I was on Effexor for 13 years for my PTSD, and it stopped working after 10. And I didn't know that. It had a shelf life of 10 years. If you do any type of recreational, legal, non-legal, it stops working because your brain is neuroplastic, and it will make it stop working so that you have to find another way. Okay, so what is the work? The work is facing it. Sit with the pain in your body and tell yourself the truth. You didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve it. It was not my fault. I should have been loved. I should have been seen. I should have been held. I should have been validated. And every single choice I made subsequent in my life was trying to feel those things. And if you've made mistakes, if you've made choices you're not particularly proud of, forgive yourself. They are the result of your childhood and how you were not cared for. People are like, take accountability. You can take accountability whenever you know what happened to you and then you continue to make the same choices. But you need to realize that everything you did, everything that has happened to you, is because of your childhood. And because you weren't seen, you weren't loved, and you weren't validated. And that's just clinical psychology. And you have to grieve that. You have to grieve your parents. You have to grieve that you weren't loved. Not because you're weak, because it mattered. And you matter. I matter. And grief is not an indulgence. It's not biologically indulgent. It is a response that's physiological, that needs to happen. It's not a breakdown. Crying's not a breakdown. It's a release valve that was built in by the body so that you could recover. It's your recovery mechanism, okay? It moves stress hormones like cortisol out of the body, it softens your fascia, and it restores flow. It makes you stronger. It metabolizes your nervous system. The pain does, it metabolizes. And you're not only grieving your pain, you're grieving generational pain because it's generational trauma passed down from parent to parent to parent to you. And if you're the one that is choosing to feel it, it's because your nervous system is strong enough to feel it without collapsing. Yep. They didn't face their own pain. They couldn't. They armored up and they coped the only way they knew how. And then they pushed it off on you. So if you're watching this and you're saying, okay, I can do this, congratulations. You're stopping generational trauma. You're the cycle breaker. Your parents did the best they could. They chased the dopamine through distraction, control, validation, achievement, And you can see this in everyone. They just go chasing. Because when your nervous system is dysregulated and filled with stored pain, you don't produce enough dopamine naturally. Everybody wants that dopamine, and they say, oh, don't go chase it, don't go chase it. That's just the game, the sim trying to get you. Dopamine is there for you to chase. It is a signal that says, this is what feels good, this is what's happy. And when it runs out, it's so that you can do something else. And they're like, oh, don't chase it, don't chase it. You should chase it. You should feel it. Because you're going to feel the other stuff too. You're not going to feel happiness unless you feel the bad stuff. You've got to feel it all. And dopamine opens up your creativity. It opens up everything. Along with serotonin, oxytocin, and all the other ones. It's there for a reason. It stops working so that you can go figure out something else and experience something else. It's your biological way of pushing you towards discovery and neuroplasticity. That's what it is. So the reason it's bad, and they're saying it's bad, is because if you do that and you don't feel the rest of it, then you're not going to feel anything. And there's still no dopamine. You're just trying to get dopamine so that you can feel something. And that's why so many people stay busy. That's why they can't sit still. That's why silence feels unbearable, because pain in the body demands movement. And when it's not processed, it drives everything. And the most part of it, or the part of it that most people miss, is that every decision you've ever made was an attempt to understand yourself. Every relationship, every job, every pattern. This life, this reality, is you creating experiences so that you can know yourself and try to feel better and understand yourself. It's not a flaw, it's the design. So sit with the pain. Ask it what it wants to show you. Admit honestly, I don't feel like enough. I don't feel good enough. Last night, I didn't feel good enough. I cried a lot. And then I asked myself why. And I went deeper. I let myself cry. I let it move, because pain that is felt is pain that leaves. And when it leaves, it creates space for forgiveness, love, joy. Forgiveness isn't a decision. It's a feeling that becomes possible after grief is processed and moved through. And anxiety, it doesn't need to be fought. When the underlying pain resolves and anxiety has room to trust you again, it will go. Not because you fixed yourself, but because there's nothing left for it to protect you from. Because fear is just protecting you. We are here to feel all the feelings. Every emotion is part of the human spectrum, just like the rainbow. Joy doesn't exist without grief. Love doesn't exist without loss. People keep writing me and they want to know how to change their reality and they're experiencing all this loss. You have to let yourself choose happiness. You have to let yourself let go. And I know it's hard. I know it's very, very hard. When emotions get stuck, we get stuck. And even sometimes after we feel the pain, the nervous system stays in the old pattern because of your neural pathways. So feeling is step one and rewiring is step two. So you need to have balance, and that balance means that you need to console yourself and then command yourself. Trauma needs to be held, but a stuck brain can be directed, and I'll tell you how to do that. The ways to rewire after grief. Use the sound of your own voice. It is your frequency. Your brain vibrates to it. That's science. Your body listens to it. Your body is 70% water. What happens when you use sound against water? You can see it ripple. That Japanese scientist did the water experiments, speaking to the water and how it created shapes. So, talk to yourself. Speak out loud. Your nervous system responds to your own voice more than it will respond to any other voice, okay? Look in the mirror. Look into your eyes. Look into your soul. Speak directly to yourself. And it doesn't have to be soft all the time. It can be clear. It can be firm. Sometimes your inner child in there is the one running the show, and it needs to be parented. Not punished, parented. Lovingly, firmly. You can use command language. We are safe now. I am safe now. This is over. That was the past, and I'm in charge now. This story is done. This is my body. This is my mind. And this is my reality. And I am in control. Think about what the pattern is and name it. When you name it, when you have knowledge, when you have the idea of what it is, you have power over it. And then you can separate from it. You can choose a different pattern. And then you need to move your body. Shake it off. You see animals shake off things all the time. They're shaking that energy off. They're releasing that fascia. Use the vibrational plate. Use binaural beats to connect both hemispheres of your brain. You can bear down. Your vagus nerve runs the length of your body. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and relax and digest. So you can bear down. You can cough really hard. You can tense your whole body up and then release it. Dance, move. Dancing is the #1 way because you're moving fluidly and it feels good. Dance to your favorite music, even if you don't feel like it, okay? You don't need to be gentle all the time. And I know that it sounds like an oxymoron to say that you can be loving and authoritative at the same time, because in my mind, you know, loving is loving and authoritative is what I am used to, which is mean and angry. But that's not true. You can be firm. You just had a bad example of what authority looks like, okay? And when the pathways are rewired in your brain and the grief is felt and it moves out, you don't just create a new reality. You're present for it. And you can go forth and you can conquer and do whatever it is that you want. You can feel the joy without waiting for it to disappear. You can experience happiness without bracing for the next shoe to drop. And you fall in love with yourself and with life. And when you fall in love with yourself, it's that kind of love that you feel whenever you fall in love with somebody else. Because that love was never about them. It was about what they activated within you, because they made you see yourself through their eyes in a different way. And you can choose that all the time. You can trust yourself, and living becomes natural again, and it becomes amazing. And that's what everybody wants. It's not forced, it's not full of effort, it's just honest and free. So, feel it. Command yourself. Talk to yourself. Move your body and start creating and start being present for it in your body. People always want to know, how do I practice presence? How do I be present? This is how. You got to be in your body to be present. You can't be in your phone. You can't dissociate. Being in your body's tough. But you can do it. And it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes until it becomes your baseline. All right? I love you. I hope this helps. Until next week.